This episode of the SwitchCast is produced by Jeffrey Kappenberg, our honored patron and hip Switch Cat.
Working on some night cheese. Oh, what?
Hey everyone, I'm KC.
And I'm JV.
And this is the SwitchCast, the podcast for the Nintendo Switch enthusiast. And you know, it's taken me this many episodes to realize I should really specify Nintendo Switch in case anyone listens to this thinking that we're talking about, I don't know, like electrical supplies of some sort.
Light switches, switch blades.
Switch blades, right, you know. People... I don't know. You can never be too safe in these sort of things there.
Yeah, I mean, we did that April Fool's joke a while back. You remember?
Yes, right. Where we did electrical switches discussion for about 10... I'm sorry, you discussed switches for about 10, 15 minutes, which I had to actually edit down.
It went pretty long.
Can never be too safe. But yes, we are a podcast for Nintendo Switch and all the games and the community for them. And we have a lot to talk about today. It is a deluge of games, I have to say. I mean, Splatoon, obviously, we're going to be talking about that. So, hold on, inklings out there. We will definitely be talking about that in depth this week. But honestly, this week, so many games were announced to be coming out down the pipe. We have a lot for that, and a really big load of new games on the eShop to mention and go over, because it's quite a library we got going on here.
Yeah.
And there's
we're definitely past the point where the Nintendo Switch is just a Zelda machine.
Yes, that is a bygone age at this point here.
Yeah, people who still bring that up are just jerks.
Yes. But before we start diving into all of that, let me make a few little community announcements here. First off, just to catch everyone up, if you haven't checked, if you are a backer on the Patreon, we have started emailing you or messaging you on the Patreon asking for addresses, because we're starting to finally put the plans together for the rewards like t-shirts and whatnot. And we wanted to, we need your addresses in order to send those. So if you haven't checked your Patreon account, go there and you can check for that message and reply with, your address and information, so we can start doing that. And I think actually I want to start posting maybe some, I know you already made the design for the pins, or at least a rough draft.
Right.
Yeah, I think we should maybe post a few little pictures of those things so people could see what kind of stuff we've been putting together.
Yeah, we can definitely send out a picture of a sneak preview of what's going on and what we're going to send out to you guys. It's a lot of fun. I'm excited putting all this stuff together for you all. And it's a long time coming, to be honest.
Yeah, honestly, this is like a project that I'm kind of like, all right, you and Amelie, you guys are like, I'm there if you guys are like split on something to make a decision, but you guys have been running, JV's been designing everything for this, and they've just been trying to find the right place to make the shirts, and you're making the pins yourself, actually, right?
Right, exactly. And
cool.
And it's going to be sent out as soon as we can. So go ahead and send us your addresses, and we can push that forward as soon as possible.
But what I've been focusing on definitely this week, we still are going on with the Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Switch Cup, and tonight, Thursday, the 27th, is the third round, i.e. the semifinals of the tournament. We're down to, I think it's about 18 racers total, and they're going to be racing off in two different blocks. And the winners, the top three of each of those two blocks, is going to face off in the finals next week. And I just want to announce the winners of last week's races. And those are Aelro, Argan, the Chief we'll call him, Sergio, Chewy Plays Nintendo, Pedro, RVD, Scott, Frab, and good old Shellshock.
Yes, congratulations, you guys, for making it to the semifinal rounds. Honestly, last week was incredibly intense. I was in the Discord chat while it was all going on, and everyone was having a blast, even if they lost their races.
We actually had our first tie situations.
Yeah, we had 2 tie situations, actually.
Yes. So we had to have some race-offs following the main events, and those were good. And I also just wanted to give a shout-out to Kevin J. Set. I believe that's Wave 2 High in the community as well.
Wave in Discord.
And he has launched SwitchFest LA, doing another, Switch meetup, but they're also playing some other games too. Some tabletop and card games are being thrown into the mix. All fair game as far as I'm concerned, as long as Switch is represented. And I saw he had Pixel Tactics in his collection there, and I was very hyped about that.
We're big fans of tabletop gaming. In another life, we'd be doing a tabletop podcast. But
yes.
Good job integrating our 2 hobbies together, Kevin.
But that's everything for the meta about the show. I think we should switch over. We have we have a few things to talk about that we're playing, and then a lot of news and a lot of new games to go over. So let's switch gears right away into the playtime.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, so we obviously, the big inked over, I don't know, what's a big sea creature that has the big Kraken in the room.
Kraken.
Let's put it, the 400-pound Kraken in the room this week is definitely Splatoon 2. And I honestly, I said it before. I was excited for ARMS, and I played ARMS, but I am super into Splatoon 2. And this is a game that I feel like isn't just the novelty, and it isn't something that's going to wear off with me. Like, this is a game I'm actually ready to invest in, and I want to, get good at. Whereas...
ARMS? What game is that? Do I at least have 8 arms? Right. I need 8 arms.
It does feel like the hype and for that has really kind of gotten overshadowed a lot by Splatoon, because this is what everyone's been playing now like crazy.
Yeah, I can definitely see that sentiment as well. And while I do love ARMS, and it is still a great game, it's a good thing they released it before Splatoon, because I think it would be very quickly overlooked by Splatoon 2, just because of the sheer multiplayer mayhem that Splatoon 2 brings. And it's just a lot of fun, Casey.
So, all right, so you mentioned the multiplayer. That is the primary way people can be playing this game. So let's talk about that there. How much have you gotten into it? What level are you now in multiplayer?
I'm currently level 8, so not necessarily the highest level so far, but I have been playing a lot with our Discord friends, and it's a ton of fun. They are at a higher level than me, obviously, but it's great that even with myself being at such a lower level, I'm still able to compete with level 20s, level 29s, pretty standard, pretty well.
I like what they did with how easy, you don't even have to try to play with your friends. If you have people on a friends list and they're playing Splatoon, it definitely prioritizes, oh, hey, Decoy DW playing? Okay, we're going to throw you in a room with him and Dr. Panda because they're all on. And without even trying, over the course of playing for an hour, it becomes a room that's just all my friends, just because the game knows to throw them in a room when it's looking for, opponents or, just people to put in to play with you. That's a really cool feature. You don't have to think about.
Yeah, I love how seamless it is to just join one of your friends in a session. You just hop into the lobby, click on friends, and join a friend just like that. I do love that feature, though it is a little bit tricky trying to get into the same team as your friends, since it never guarantees that you're actually playing in the same team as your friends, and you might not ever actually cooperate with them in a match. But
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah, if you want to do that, you either have to make a team and go into the ranked play, which I believe is unlocked at level 10. I just hit level 10, so it just showed me that. Or you can make a private room, but you don't get XP in private rooms. So that's
Right.
really, that's what they're.
And what I'm most looking forward to is the league battle rooms where you actually do ranked leveling, but with either in a pair or in a full team of 4. And I know that at some point we're going to do that ourselves within the SwitchCast Discord.
I think I definitely want to find, like, just to start, just to keep it simple and not have to, like, organize too much. I want to find just one person who wants to, like, team up and just, get good at being a pair and, like, pick 2 weapons that kind of complement each other. And maybe from there, find another pair that wants to become a foursome after that. I think that's how I want to, like, work it out and just kind of get used to playing together and finding compliments that way, because I've started narrowing down the weapons I'm into. I kind of started to feel it out.
That's what I'm I'm currently in that step right now. I'm trying to spread out and play as many different weapon styles as possible to figure out what I like in Splatoon 2. They definitely tuned a lot of weapons for balance, and some weapons feel different than it was in the past.
So what are you leaning towards right now?
Right now I'm leaning towards the slosher.
Oh, the bucket.
Which is, the bucket. I like, in a lot of games that I play, first-person shooter style games, I'm a big fan of the guns that don't have that quick of a firing rate, but every single shot you make is heavy damage. So I like blasters and I like sloshers. I'm most successful with the slosher and turf wars, and with everything else, I like to the blaster.
Okay, cool. I finally feel like I've graduated from just playing the roller because it's kind of like the easiest to grasp. It's the easiest learning weapon, I think, for multiplayer, where you don't have to worry too much about, like, taking out the opponents, and you can just kind of either roll over them or just worry about taking terrain. But I have picked, I think I've narrowed it down. There's 2 weapons that are definitely the ones I'm trying to learn. First off, the ink brush is really awesome. I feel like it's very intense. It's super fast. It's very twitchy because you have to tap a lot to, cover paint and swipe around a lot. But it has that really cool ability where you're never trapped. You're always able to just cut through enemy ink and run really fast around and behind and assassinate. It's like a samurai sword in this game. It's the assassin weapon. You can go through right in enemy lines. You don't have to worry about covering ground too much. And then you just get people when they're not expecting you. And it's very rewarding for you to, like, anticipate other people's movements. And I like that a lot.
Right, and I know, especially with an ink brush that specializes in speed.
Yeah,
there's a lot of positioning involved that you can take advantage of with that weapon, and I know I've been a victim to ink brush ambushes in the past, so it's really an intense weapon to use.
It's very intense, and I've had a very good win streak with it so far. I've been building up that little the freshness meter that builds up as you win with the same weapon. I have it up at a 10 about now, and I'm trying to keep it going, but it is getting harder now that I'm going up in level.
Yeah, on my side, slosher is definitely what I've been going for, just because I like, as I said, I like having really high damage but smaller increments of shots, and it just covers quite a bit of ink while still dealing a lot of damage right in front of me in a big with a big cone, essentially. Yeah. So if I see someone coming in charging at me with a roller or an ink brush or something that's smaller range, it's something I can really punish people with.
Let me ask: are you using the motion controls for aiming?
I used to not, but now I've been really considering using motion controls as well.
I've just been using them so much that I don't even realize that's an option on there. It's just become very much second nature. I think that's partly due to maybe ARMS just getting me used to motion controls in general. But now that because I play mobile a lot of times on the train, at least one player mode, and that just, playing mobile, you have to use the motion to do any kind of real good aiming. And when I come home, it's just second nature. I don't even think about using motion controls on the hands, and it's pretty effective with that. Though I do freak out sometimes, and I just I don't realize that I'm shaking the controller out of anger or something, and it's ruining my aim.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Though it's really, really interesting how well Nintendo has refined their motion controls so far.
Yeah,
because in this case, it's 3 out of 3 for you, Casey. 3 games coming out from Nintendo on the Switch that you've chosen motion controls as the primary control scheme.
Yes. Oh, I did switch. I'll give it this one. So after everyone told me how weird I was for using motion controls on Mario Kart, and even after I convinced some people to use them who were always controller based, after feeling so weird, I started using joystick controls on Mario Kart, and now I'm kind of I don't know how to go back anymore.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, peer pressure.
It just once I thought about it that much. But yeah.
Okay, well, regardless, ARMS, motion controls. You tried out Mario Kart with motion controls and liked it for a while.
Yeah.
And now Splatoon motion controls. If I feel like Nintendo is really honing in on that type of control scheme, and while admittedly it's not for everyone, and Nintendo should always have the option to play without motion controls, I'm glad that they're getting consistent enough where motion controls are a valid option even in competitive play.
The other weapon, and the one that I think I will try, the one that's more of a team weapon, and it's the one I'll probably try to master for a team-based strategy and maybe being support with other people, is the splatling gun.
Oh yeah, that's one I'm considering as well, because while it is a rapid fire type shot, it's one that you have to charge up after a while and then let loose.
Right.
And so that's kind of some around my alley as well.
It is not a weapon. If you drop in front of an enemy, if you're face to face with an enemy, you're dead, because your power is that your range and the fact that you can, you're usually going to be firing from a vantage point. You want to have cover, or you want to have friends, because you have to do that charge up before you can start firing. So they're always going to get the first shot. But if you have the vantage and you can charge up before you're even visible to them, you're going to dominate, and you can splat a large area with it. But it's very positional. It's deciding where do you want to be to cover your friends, and it forces you to think about your team and strategy and really being at the right place at the right time. Because if you just go in, if you charge with that weapon, you're just going to die, because it is always going to lose in just a one-on-one.
One-to-one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but I love that the diverse weapons here are really strong in different situations. And that's what makes this game so much fun. And I love how diverse the weapon sets are.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that more are coming.
Yeah, that's right. They did say that we're going to... I guess technically the Ink Brush was the first DLC, because it came out on the launch weekend. That was a DLC we got, even though I think we all just got it in the first day and didn't even realize that it was DLC.
Right. Pretty much.
Yeah. Does it really technically count as a downloadable content if you got it day one, if it just came with the release day?
I guess it's technically called day one DLC.
I guess that's just it's a kind of a weird borderline to me.
Yeah, but it's not something that I'm super complaining about, since it was easily integrated within the game. It's not something that you had to go out of your way to get.
Yeah. So I haven't tried any of the other modes yet, so I guess we'll have to wait to talk about those, because we really have to dive into some of those other things we've unlocked as we go.
Yeah, but honestly, so far we've mostly been playing Turf Wars, and while I do prefer the ranked modes from Splatoon 1 that I haven't quite unlocked yet, I forgot how much fun Turf Wars is.
Yeah.
Just as a mode. Just in general, it's so accessible to beginners, yet still has quite a bit of strategy involved to it.
Now, what about one-player mode? Have you been diving into that at all?
I dove into it a little bit, and while it's pretty similar to Splatoon 1, one's single-player mode, and while I didn't dive that much into it, I loved what I played.
Mm-hmm.
The platforming and puzzles of it kind of remind me of Super Mario Galaxy.
I can kind of see that because you did that whole launching around to different like little mini sections of a stage.
Right, exactly. In Super Mario Galaxy, you would perform platforming in a planet, then you'd launch yourself to another planet and platform there until you finish that little galaxy. And it kind of feels like that here, and the platforming is solid and so much fun.
It's really nice how they did strong game design in that they force you to realize the strengths of each weapon in those stages, designed to kind of tutorialize how to use these weapons. Like I was introduced to the Splatling gun in the one-player mode, and they kind of forced you to realize, like, one great example was there's this long corridor where there's like a sniper guy at the end of it, and if you just run down there, he's just going to shoot you before you can even charge up, and they kind of force you to learn, charge up while I'm behind cover, and then walk out and just start firing once I'm there, and it really brought to mind how to use these weapons, and it was fun. And even between the stages, just exploring those little hub areas where you have to find each stage, that's really fun.
It is fun. I love how the hub world is its own puzzle in a way.
Mm-hmm.
You have to figure out how to get to certain places, and that's a puzzle in and of itself. And even just shooting down the balloons to get special bonuses it's really interesting how even the hub world, getting to an actual stage, can be fun. And you're not even playing the game for real.
That was the thing that I was most concerned about, because when I play this game, again, on the train or, I play it about 40% of the time is in a place where I'm not online, and it needed to have a good one-player mode that was worthwhile for me to, like, I feel like really be worth it, because I just need to get some action in when I'm not online, and I'm glad that this is a satisfactory experience. It doesn't feel like it's tacked on. It doesn't feel like this is just something they threw together to give you a one-player mode. This feels like a full-fledged, shooter game with lots of cool stages and some really nice boss battles, like huge, intense fights there. Not super hard, but it's about figuring out the bosses,
exactly.
You solve them, and then you just kind of have to enact it.
And I just love how they were able to translate the multiplayer competitive gameplay of Splatoon into a single player campaign. They were able to take the elements of gameplay that you use in the multiplayer competitive mode and make them into puzzles and stages in a single player session.
I do like hunting for all those little special items we have to find, like the extra, what is it, the fish and the scrolls that are hidden on each stage.
Right, exactly. And I just really like how they handled single player. It's very similar to how it was handled in Splatoon 1, mm-hmm. And I honestly can't complain that they added more to it this time.
What about co-op mode now? Have you gotten to try that?
No, I haven't. I've been holding back on it a little bit since I know it can be a little bit restrictive. So I'm saving co-op as something that I would explore once I get a little bit burnt out on the multiplayer versus mode.
Okay.
But, I'm going to get into it at some point.
I got to try it a little bit. I only got to do it with one other person.
Okay.
You can set the difficulty, which I like, and you can set a few factors to, make it easier or harder or whatever. But it's a lot more fast paced than I expected. I thought, it would start slow and there'd be this like gradual kind of build up, or maybe there is and I'm just already overwhelmed by it. But you go into the, that area, that dock that you have to play in, and you get a random weapon. I didn't realize that you come in, so you have to know how to handle everything. And I did not know how to handle half the weapons it gave me. And I was just like, all right, I guess I'll try to learn how to use the airbrush gun or whatever that was. And
it's an interesting crash course into the different weapon styles that are out there. And I feel like that was a very intentional game design.
I find, like, knowing how to beat those bosses, because they give you the tutorial where they show you each boss's trick to beat, but some of them, I hate having to throw the grenades that have to, like, land inside of something, because it really requires some precision. But things are so frantic that I can't steady my aim that well and just get it right into, like, that rocket launcher thing in time before, you know, he launches or something kills me. And I guess that's a skill I'll just have to master as we play it, or maybe with 4 players, I could trust more people to cover me. Maybe it's calmer with 4 players. That's all I could say. I only played it 2, and that's probably not optimal for that. But I definitely, I'm very intrigued, and I want to play more of that.
Yeah, I'm glad the mode is out there. I feel like Splatoon 1 really needed a replayable horde mode, and now that Splatoon or Salmon Run is out, I feel like that's something that I can really devote a lot of time on.
Now, have you been incorporating the Switch Online app at all into your gaming?
The Switch app, that is quite a subject, Casey. No. Okay. It's practically non-existent in my eyes at this point. The only reason why I'm using the Nintendo Switch Online app is for the Splatoon 2 Splatnet feature.
Right. What have you been doing on the Splatnet?
The primary reason I use Splatnet is to look at the currently available items in the item shop and purchase from there.
Okay, yes, that is
the primary reason why I use it.
That is exactly the same reason I use it. I go and I check what is available. I'm like, ooh, there's a cool shirt. Ooh, that's the helmet that matches my hat, there's the helmet that matches the jersey I wear. So that was pretty cool. Just, it shows me the potential for cool features to be incorporated into this app. But at the same time, it's not enough to make me want to use it over just going into our Discord chat and just saying, hey, who's playing? Let's go. And just joining one of those things.
Right, I agree. Without something like Discord, I think I might be using the Nintendo Online app a little bit more. But it's such an inconvenient, out-of-the-way method of setting up voice chat with friends that I'm not really a big fan of it.
Right.
It's just the system itself. I really don't like having to go on a third-party mobile app and talk through there. But I do like Splatnet. I like that specific app. I like looking at all my stats and being able to purchase items without being in-game. That's a cool feature, and I want more games to incorporate stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's going to be the advantage that the Nintendo Online app will have over other online offerings. These individual game applications that you can use to integrate outside of the actual console game itself.
Yeah, I think that it should have... All right, so one feature the Splatnet app should have is I want to see the results from the last Splatfest in there and maybe see some stats regarding that. Just some other interesting stuff to get me into that. And actually, also, I want to see where those images are coming from. When you're in the town and you're, walking around in the Inkopolis or whatever it's called. Right. And they have the Wii U's, those little drawings people did.
Yeah, well, no, those are all stuff people drew on the Switch.
Okay.
There's a person or something you can talk to that says draw, so you can draw, and then that releases out to the public.
I would like to,
which is cool.
I would like on the app to be able to go through some of those, or maybe peruse and thumbs up ones I like, maybe have them appear in my game more often, or use the app to draw some of those even. That might be cool.
Speaking of which, isn't that such a cool feature, though?
That is pretty neat.
It really adds life to the Inkopolis area itself.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just filled with NPCs that didn't have these drawings that people make, I feel like it'd be a little bit more hollow and feel a little bit empty.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're walking into Inkopolis and walking around and seeing what everyone contributed, seeing little memes that people are referencing or drawing cool pictures or saying something really silly, it feels like there's actual people behind all of those little inkling characters, and that makes it feel less lonely, I guess.
Now, I want to ask now, are there any complaints that you have so far? Is there any like little things that have maybe bugged you during the game yet that you feel like could be fixed in the future?
Yeah. What I mentioned previously, I didn't like that whenever you're joining friends, you can't guarantee that you're going to be on the same team.
Mm-hmm.
I understand why they continuously randomize it. They don't want people stacking their teams and dominating newbies because they're in a team. But that's something that's a little bit irksome. I also have experienced where I tried to join a friend and the room just never opened up a new slot for quite a while, so I had to wait multiple sessions before I can get in. And that's a little bit of a bothersome situation.
I gotcha. The only little things that annoy me so far is I don't like that I have to leave the room to change weapons. Like just today, I was playing and I was using the Splatling gun, and I was like in a group with everybody, from the community. And I kind of was like, all right, I'm tired of this. I want to switch weapons, but I had to leave the room to switch back to my ink brush. And when I came back, I was with a whole new group of people. So I feel like you should be able to change weapons just in the room between battles.
Yeah. No. Well, yes, I can definitely agree with you there. I feel like their justification is that they don't want people being reactionary to what other people have. So if you see that a lot of people are running rollers, they don't want you to be able to switch to something that counters it on the fly. But for convenience sake, I do wish that was a feature that they allowed.
I mean, that's like the only thing so far that's maybe annoyed me in the gameplay.
Overall, it's been quite a fun experience, and honestly, I haven't experienced any server hiccups or issues so far. Whenever I got into a lobby, it's always been a very seamless game. Have you experienced any server or performance issues on your side, Casey?
Only nothing caused by the game. I had one problem where my router was just like in a bad spot for some reason. I had to move.
Gotcha.
But I even heard stories of someone on the Facebook group saying how they just set up, tethered their phone internet to the game. And that was more than enough to run a good battle online.
I love how efficient that is then. That's really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that Nintendo's really ramping up their server infrastructure for this, because I remember there were quite a number of server issues with some Wii U games in the past, so I haven't really seen that many cases of server problems on the Switch so far.
Now, here's one little feature I think would be cool that I wouldn't mind them adding. I wouldn't mind if I had the option just to pick what color I was, even if only I see it. I don't, because it doesn't matter to the other, the game could tell, my system I'm whatever color it wants. But I wouldn't mind, because I like just being green and I hate being pink and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind if it just said, gave me an option to say, all right, whenever I play, I always see myself or my team as green or something like that.
I think you can do that. I think you can. There is an option where you can set it to, I believe it's just a single color.
I saw a color lock option, but I didn't know what that does.
That's the feature. It locks onto a single color. I believe it's for colorblind people.
Okay, that just makes it always orange and dark blue. Yeah, so it's not quite, but I guess that's the thing for colorblind people. And I guess that is a big deal. I just never realized. I always forget that that's such a huge deal for this game, particularly with, it could be for people.
I imagine some of the color combinations might be a bit tricky for colorblind people to distinguish.
And that would be a big deal in this game. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So that's everything we've been playing with that right now. I do want to ask, though, how much time do you think you're going to have to play other games? Or is this going to pretty much push away your ability to play other games?
I mean, we're going to have to play other games at some point, Casey.
I know, but it's really hard to.
I know. Splatoon 2 is just so good for the community.
This is my favorite game, definitely, right now. So let me just move on then to the, the accessory review of this week. And I just wanted to bring up, this is something I've been wanting to get my hands on for my Switch for a while, and it's a perfect complement to that backpack I mentioned. So this week I have from HDE again, the Nintendo Switch. They call it a hybrid folding case. This is, how do I describe this thing? All right, so it is a case that just kind of fits around the screen part of your Switch itself. And it's a little leather case, and it has a flap that folds over the screen part of the Switch, which is by itself all I kind of really needed to. I just want something that basically gives it clamshell 3DS mode, which is
right.
Which now I literally could, once I have this on there and I can cover the screen with this leather cover, I can actually, I don't mind holding onto my Switch or actually slipping it into a pocket or throwing it as is into a backpack.
Into a backpack?
Yes, exactly.
Honestly, that was a really big advantage of the 3DS or the DS line of handhelds. Mm-hmm. That clamshell helps quite a bit. I'm a big stickler for screen protectors in all of my devices, and a clamshell design really helps me circumvent that need. Right.
Because I still don't use, I do not use the screen covers. I tried the tempered glass and I just went insane, and I took it off and I couldn't stand it. It's OCD me, whatever it is, but
I get so paranoid without a screen protector.
I cannot, I want to be someone who accepts a screen protector on there. It's like I know I need a kidney, but every time you give me one, JV, my body just rejects it. It's just horrible. And I want a screen protector on there, but my brain rejects it and will pay attention to every minute flaw that is only perceivable through my brain's idiot eye. But
your brain's idiot eye for sure.
But this really does put everything at ease. I like the way that the Switch, so it's kind of cool when you slide it in there, you have to actually take off one of the controllers at least to slide it through, and then you could reattach it. And then, so I put it in that little backpack that I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that fits in perfectly. So together with that, it's a really nice thing. And if you want, I mentioned how important it is to have a stand, I think, with the Switch, especially for multiplayer, tabletop mode. You can still use the kickstand, obviously, but I think that this works. It's more stable. It's an improvement on that because it has, you can, use that flap that is the screen protector also as a stand that, the Switch itself can lay on that and be standing up and facing you. So
okay, that's an added use case or added feature that I didn't quite expect from that type of accessory.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool, handy, and versatile thing. I think there was one. Oh, right. It has a little magnetic thing to hold it closed so it doesn't just flop around. And one thing I didn't realize when I first got it, and it took me a while for my brain to adjust, is that the flap actually comes from underneath the Switch because the headphone jack is on the top. So
right,
even if your so my brain just assumed the flap would come from the top, but no, it comes from underneath, so the headphone jack could stay in there, and you don't have to take it out just because you're covering the case for something like that.
All right, that's definitely something that you'd have to get used to, because I think that would bother me, and from the start.
Okay, I can see that. Yeah, it's just something that, you just have to flip a switch in your brain to get used to
exactly,
that. Yeah,
exactly.
And and it also has it has little holes for the vents in the back and everything there. But again, it is something that you have to take it out of if you want to put it in the dock, but it's really easy. Like I said, you just take off one controller, slide it out. Not bad. For $10, I think this is a slam dunk. This is my favorite protection accessory period for the Switch right now. This is the thing I wanted to have for it since the beginning, and I kind of feel like it completes the design of the Switch in the way that like I said, I wish it had a clamshell, and this fills that gap, which is perfect.
Right, and the having to remove it in order to put it on the dock, that's not really a inhibitive factor for you?
No, and in fact, I mentioned before how I have the hard time taking off those covers for the Switch, the Joy-Con controllers. I have mastered that now, and I just kind of figured it out, and I could do it really easy now, but it just wasn't obvious how to take them apart initially, so even that's not that hard anymore. So yeah, this is not a deal.
All right. That's a good call.
All right, so that is everything that we've got our hands on this week. We will have more, and we will probably be talking about Splatoon for quite a while. Let's talk about the news and what other games exist, because I don't know how we're going to get to play all these games. There's a lot of stuff coming up.
We'll have to figure it out somehow, Casey. It's our job.
For you, I have a gift full of laughter, threat notes, and green gills. A pharmacy of bitter pills, drenched in sweat and with a scream. You wake up from my fever dream. Your blood is boiling, your headache split. You lose your lunch and smell like something nasty. I'm the sickness you cannot quell. There is no cure, you won't get well.
All right, so if you're curious about what that musical bridge just was, you stay tuned, because that is something that we're going to be bringing up later on in this section here.
It's definitely quite a quirky little song.
Certainly, and it's caught my attention. So we're just going to kick off this news rundown with a little bit of a general piece of news. Nintendo had their first quarter reports this week, and we got a few numbers of interest. Most notable of which is that they've actually sold to date 4.7 million Nintendo Switch units so far, and that's almost halfway to their goal of 10 million for the year.
That's definitely a good sign, because it means that essentially all of the Switches that they're manufacturing are selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, and it's hard. That's a tough task, because they're fighting over a lot of the same, not only like factory time as, Apple we talked about is fighting for them over some of the whatever material the screens are made out of or something like that. It's not like they can just have 10 million built at the beginning and then just, sell those to everyone at once. They have to fight to get those things put together and put them on store shelves. So, but they're doing good, and we still got Christmas down, before the year's out. So they are looking pretty strong to meeting that goal.
Yes, exactly. And that's a very similar situation here in North America. It's every single Switch that comes out is really getting swiped quickly, and the fact that Nintendo is able to essentially print money at this point means that they really need to up their manufacturing to keep up with demand, because there is demand.
That's right.
Now, going down into the actual software of things, apparently there's an update for Minecraft on the Nintendo Switch edition, which enables 1080p display when docked. That I remember that was a big complaint that people had, that the game was locked in 720p even while it was docked, and now this update will fix that.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean, considering it's not a game that the graphic, quality is ever been a huge issue, but it's definitely nice. People were enjoying it then, and now they'll probably, I want to see what people say if they really notice in that game. Does it make a big difference? I'd be very curious if anyone wants to write me in and let me know how noticeable that is on a game like Minecraft.
Right. There are a bunch of other bug fixes and updates with this patch, but that's the biggest feature that was updated. So cool. I'm glad that they're addressing their people's concerns.
Inti Creates has been continuing their tradition of free DLC characters and crossover characters at that. So they're the ones that were previously bringing Gunvolt characters into Blaster Master.
Right.
Now they're bringing Blaster Master characters over into Mighty Gunvolt Burst. And the first one they have here is Ekoro. I think she was kind of your... like the assistant character in
Blaster Master. And I'm really happy that they're continuing to do these crossovers since people really love them.
Yeah, and again, it looks like she has a whole different play style. And Gunvolt was very much defined by the play style of it. It had a very unique, you tagged the enemy and then you would use your electrical burst to kill the guys that you tagged. But this, changes it up because she has a whole different moveset. So it gives you a whole new reason to replay the entire game and it'll feel almost like a fresh game. It's a pretty smart move they do this, and they're making it free, so it's just adding replayability to a game that you may have already beaten by now.
Right. It's a limited time for it to be free. So after a certain period, then it'll cost $2, but honestly, if you love this game, you're probably going to pick it up during the free window anyway.
That's true. It's a good way to reward people who bought the game early. And that window that JV mentioned is July 27th through August 9th. So maybe if you haven't bought it yet, you still can get in on the early adopter freebie bonus here. And
exactly.
Yeah.
Now, there's another game that's more relevant to what you've been doing.
Oh, yeah. You know what? This is one of those. This is probably the first victim of me not having time to play because of Splatoon 2. But yes, there is another free DLC pack for NBA Playgrounds coming. They're going to be adding 33 new players, a 3-point contest mode for online play, and this is all be coming out at the end of summer for every other system except the Switch at that time.
Rude.
And then we have to wait for the Switch version at some point in the future, and I'm going to just hope that it's not as long a wait as we had to for the multiplayer update.
Yeah, this seems like less of a critical update than the multiplayer mode, but it'd still be nice for them to have a quicker turnaround.
And what I was just alluding to before is I wanted to try out the NBA Playgrounds multiplayer, and I made it a point. I even played a little bit of one player again just to get myself back into, knowledge on how to play the game. But then I just never put it online because every time I was on the internet connection, I just had to play some Splatoon. So I will try to carve out some time just to talk about this a little bit.
And honestly, it's not a bad problem to have as a Switch owner.
Yeah.
Having so many good games to play, can't complain too much. So what really did excite me was the fact that there is a bit of a secret in Ultra Street Fighter 2: The Final Challengers. Apparently, if you do an interesting little sequence of button inputs, you can unlock Shin Akuma for the game, which is awesome. I love that they had an unlockable character that requires little weird secret inputs. It calls back to those original games that have these secret codes that you put in. I just love
because also how Akuma originally came to be, right?
Yeah,
like he was he was a fake secret character that people just talked about, and they were like, oh no, you could play as if you beat the last boss with 2 perfects at this exact time or whatever crazy thing. And that was just like supposed to be or maybe it was like a way to play as M. Bison or something like that. But they eventually did add him as a secret character because of this weird urban legend back then, before you can go on the internet and verify this sort of stuff.
Right, exactly. So you can always look online to see what the sequence is that you have to follow. But
yeah, I'll link to a page where you can see them all.
Yes, but I love this. I love that they included this even in the new edition.
Just really funny. Just to give them an idea, it's like, so select Ryu, stay in color 1, cancel, select Ken, move from color 1 to color 9, then cancel, and so on and so forth with different characters. And
it's definitely not a sequence that you're going to necessarily run into randomly.
No, not at all.
But I love that it's in here. I love that that's still a thing.
So I saw a Kickstarter today for something called Uniom. It is a wireless adapter for the Switch Online app to, I guess, so everything that I've seen so far, all those weird chat accessories like the headphones and the microphone setups for like Splatoon and stuff, all had that weird complicated wire setup, and it looks like this is just trying to eliminate that and simplify the connection.
Right. It is a wireless adapter that outputs your Switch audio to a wireless receptor unit that you attach to your headphones. It allows you to tunnel the Switch audio with the voice chat into one output, which is your headphones.
Okay.
It's honestly pretty clunky. But this is as streamlined a setup as you can have at this point, honestly. It's a Kickstarter, so it's dependent on backers, and it looks like it's probably not going to meet its goal. But there is a demand for this type of convenience, but there's a lot of factors that are inhibiting this specific Kickstarter at the moment.
All right, I will leave a link to that in case you want to maybe be one of the people who helps this Kickstarter out. Or maybe you're just gonna, wait for the next solution or a better one to come up. All right, so down the pipe, we have a lot of games to go over.
Ooh, yes, there are lots of stuff in the pipe.
Yeah, so we're gonna have to shotgun this because it's kind of ridiculous how many games were announced and came out this week. Starting with something I think you were looking to play.
Retro City Rampage DX. This looks really cool, and I'm glad that it's coming out on the Switch. I've noticed that naming structure is spreading now. They're bringing a lot of DX versions of games to the Switch, if it's already been released before.
Oh, okay, yeah, I guess so. Right. And what's the one though? The Hawaii game. This is the same people who make the one that's coming to
Shakedown Hawaii.
Shakedown Hawaii, right. So, I mean, it's along the same lines, but Retro City Rampage is the first of this, of their basically GTA gone crazy, but 8-bit. And it's a really wild looking game, but yes, they're bringing it to the Switch. And, I mean, I guess if you play their Shakedown Hawaii and when it comes out, this will be even more of that kind of content for you to sink into.
Yeah, it looks fun.
I just thought this was interesting because I actually played a lot of these people's games on iPhone, and they look like they specialize in very streamlined strategy games, and this is a fun little one. So yeah, it's called Hex Gambit. It's like an arena sized. Like, it's a very small little hex grid with a few towers. It's almost like a real-time strategy MOBA. And there's towers, and there's like a goal that you have to get your guys to and take out. And, different types of units. It's fast. It's not a game that you're going to get hunkered down with or, have analysis paralysis. I just would say check out this Kickstarter and see if you want to help it come to the Switch. They have a pretty good track record of this kind of game.
Right. Now, speaking of track records, the next game we're talking about is Super Beat Sonic.
That was a good one.
Thank you. It's apparently a rhythm game that's pretty popular in Asia. It's a pretty standard rhythm game. You press inputs based on the buttons you have to press on a specific track. What makes this one special is that there's no specific track, so it's positional, and the inputs are coming from the center out to the sides. And I like the music for it so far, and it's something that I'm going to check out as a rhythm fan.
It looks like it has a pretty good list of actual, I guess, what do you call these people? Like
EDM.
Just DJ...
Yeah,
what?
A lot of EDM artists seem to be really featured in this game, so...
Yeah. So unlike the ones that I'm used to playing, like when I play Voids, I don't know who any of those artists are. These are, if you're into this kind of like techno, I guess house music,
EDM.
you might. EDM, what does that stand for?
Electronic dance music.
So, like, if you're into that genre, you might recognize some of these people, so...
They definitely take some moments in their trailer to mention these EDM artists, because you guys probably know them if you're into that scene. So, cool stuff.
Lost Sphere, we have a launch date of January 23rd for the West, at least, and... Again, this is the same group. Well, this is, Square Enix's first, I guess, original RPG that we have for the Switch. We had I Am Setsuna come out, but that was, a remake of an old one. So if you were into that and you want to see some more, this looks like they're going for, again, it looks like it, but yeah, not set in a, a frozen wilderness setting as that one was. So... but yeah, it has that Chrono Trigger kind of feel and the, nice, cute sprites. Anyway, we're trying to pick up more details, but they just have the trailers. Again, I'll link to those trailers in the show notes.
Okay. Now, speaking of RPGs, the official Pokemon RPG is revealed to be released sometime in 2018 or later.
Yes.
We definitely didn't expect the full-fledged Pokemon games to come out in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So 2018 isn't too big of a surprise, but we got a confirmation that it should be out to next year or later.
Yeah, and this was just like, on one of their like standard lists of upcoming games that they put online. It was just kind of thrown on there as it wasn't like a big announcement. It was just like, it's coming out sometime in the future. So, we might get a more specific date. Hopefully, I think before the end of the year, I think we should get at least around, kind of like a month or season,
Yes, exactly.
Ironcast Lands. Okay, so this is actually something I thought you might enjoy because this mixes two things that you like.
Oh.
It has mechas and match 3.
Oh man, that's actually kind of perfect. No, whoa, I actually have played this game. Ironcast.
Oh, okay.
A long time ago. Wow. This game was featured in one of the PAX South conventions, possibly 2 years ago, as a Steam game. And lo and behold,
how appropriate!
As you guessed, Casey, I actually was really addicted to this booth when during the convention a long time ago. Oh,
well, then tell me just. We'll say it's coming out August 10th, and maybe you could tell us a little bit more about how did this game work?
Well, it definitely is a match 3, kind of like Bejeweled or Puzzle Quest. It is more like Puzzle Quest than anything. You match a certain number of little pieces, and then once you complete a match based on the color of what it is, it charges up specific aspects of your mech. And once your mech is charged up with a specific resource, you can fire a weapon, and that attacks your opponent. So,
okay.
It's really cool. You can customize your little robot guy based with different weapons and different parts. Mm-hmm. And it's something that, yes, I would very much get into.
And just a note, I wasn't sure, though, if you were also into steampunk mechas as well as future Gundam-y mechas.
But the word mecha is very appealing to me regardless of the era.
Okay. Now, what about Gaia Melifs?
Oh, are you talking about is that Escaflowne?
Escaflowne. Yes. If Vaughn had allergies, would he take Escaflownes?
You're awful. Yes, he would.
I've waited like 8 years for those two things to come together in a single conversation.
How beautiful. So apparently, there is a new LEGO Marvel Superheroes 2 trailer that's out, and we're able to confirm that a deluxe edition is coming for the Switch.
Ooh, is that another DX? No, not quite.
It's not a DX. It's still a quote-unquote deluxe edition, so it's following that trend. But, I actually really liked the Marvel LEGO games. So having the sequel come out on the Switch is going to be fun. It's definitely going to circumvent your previous issues with Lego City Undercover, since this is a more traditional Lego style game.
Very cool. Okay, following a little more of a the plot of a movie and such like that. All right, very cool.
Yes.
Very cool. I'll look forward to that. Penguin Wars. Now, this is a very unexpected and strange little. This is actually a remake of an old NES game. Or I should say a Famicom game, because I don't think it actually came to the West ever. But this actually has an interesting little gameplay. There's like a table. It's almost like a sport where like little animals play this game, but you play as a penguin. I don't know if you could change your character probably. And you have like these balls on your side. And you have to throw them at the other side, and your opponent's on the other side of the table throwing balls back. And if they collide, they bounce around and they could hit you and stun you for a while. And whoever has fewer balls on their side at the time's up wins, or if you can just get all your balls on the other side, you just win, instantly like that. But that was just what the game was in the old Famicom version. They're actually adding new features to this game with 4-player support, remix music, local and online multiplayer, and the story mode.
Wow.
Like, they're taking this obscure as heck the NES, old school game that was just really simple, but just had a really fun little gameplay mechanic, and just going all in with it.
That's interesting. I like that they found something pretty obscure. They were like, you know what? I like the gameplay for this. And now they're expanding it like crazy.
I actually can see this. It's that weird combination of it's simple, but has just enough like skill, like a ping pong kind of thing, where it can feel competitive despite this weird, cute nature and simple gameplay.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that's going to be a lot of fun in Switch Fests.
Yeah, right. True.
Yes.
Now, I'm only bringing this game up because it is a sign of something bigger to come, I hope.
Yes.
But yeah, so this is the first visual novel I've seen brought to Switch, and it's called Song of Memories, and it's coming out only in Japan, but it is coming with English subtitles. So this will be easily playable in other regions if you want to download it from the Japanese eShop. Now, the only thing is, this is one of those pervy kind of, fan service games where there's just the,
It's a very lewd, ecchi style game where there's a lot of female fan service and that type of stuff.
In all fairness, that is about, I'd say, somewhere between 50 and 80% of what visual novels come out in general. But I feel like at least this is a step towards the games that I want, like the Code Realize type titles that I hope will come to the Switch in time.
Right. Apparently, this is opening the doors to other visual novels in the future.
Right. And even if they only come in the Japanese eShop, again, if they put those English subtitles in there, that will be more than sufficient. That's all I need for these to be a viable genre for me to dive back into.
Yeah, visual novels should be relatively easy to localize.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's a step in the right direction for that genre. Now, on a more, wider appeal game, apparently Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is coming out August 29th, KC.
No.
That is a lot sooner than I expected it to be.
So this is the filling in the... We were kind of wondering, because they were releasing every month one big game a month that kind of drew everyone's attention. And we didn't know what August's big title was going to be. And so, yeah, apparently that's going to be Mario Rabbids.
Yeah, and what excites me the most is that the listing shows that it includes 2-player simultaneous multiplayer. Which I love for strategy games. I don't know if this is going to be a cooperative 2-player multiplayer or competitive 2-player multiplayer. Either way, I'm excited to see how this goes. And I know you and I are probably going to get into this game At least for a bit, Casey.
I'm going to try. I just feel like I will not yet be done with what I'm playing now. That's, like Splatoon's like a game I'm getting into deeply. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Mario Rabbids is a game that I'm going to enjoy the one player in the story mode. I don't think I'm going to be able to invest in getting like good into like, player versus player kind of stuff. But if it's a co-op challenge.
Right. Well, it looks like there are co-op challenges, and that's how it's going to work. So maybe
that might be, that's something I can more casually get into. But once it's like competitive, now it's like, all right,
there's a meta game that you have to figure out. Okay. Yes. We'll see what direction they go with their multiplayer. It looks like it's probably going to be just co-op, but if they include a competitive mode, I'm probably going to try it out.
Going back now, finally, the musical intro that we used to this section, that is from a game called Figment, which is a musical action-adventure title. And I don't just mean it is about music. It is literally a musical. It is a game with full-on cast of performers who sing numbers that are somehow tied to the game and tell the story as you're going through. It's kind of a surreal story, it's inside someone's own head, and you play the representation of this person's bravery, and and there's all sorts of very surreal, crazy characters. It kind of has an adventure game, puzzle solving, a little bit of combat going on into it. So it's one of those kind of games, cool art, but I think this music is really what it's coming to make the appeal, and it's something I haven't heard before. And if the game itself really works in this musical and nails this execution, I think it's going to be a pretty great experience. It's going to be something that is truly unique, and I will have to definitely check out, and hopefully I can recommend to more people.
Yeah, and this specific song is of its own genre, and I wonder if they will explore more standard, musical styles within the game.
Right. I just think that's like such a cool thing to mix. Like, it's just another way of expressing art in a game by bringing the musical into a game in a way. And yeah, I gotta see how they pull this off. That's coming out on PC in September, and it is set for Switch this year. Let's hope it's not too far after that.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, moving on. We have the new releases to announce. Just again, last week, in addition to Splatoon 2, we got Boost Beast, which is that puzzly animal game with the zombies fighting. This week we have Overcooked, and we actually got I got one or two messages from people who were saying, please don't let this game get overlooked by, by Splatoon. Please pay attention to this. So I will give that, and I think, JV, we will get you to play this week, so maybe you can give a little more insight into this.
Yes, definitely. It's a game that I'm actually pretty excited to try out, and I'll share my experience with you guys next week.
Okay, sounds good. Beach Buggy Racing, which is coming out the 27th. So that's coming out today. This looks like a really, I don't know. This kind of looks like a cheap racing game. Doesn't it's a mobile. It's another one of those like free to play mobile games that they brought over to Switch. And this is a $10 game with all the bells and whistles added to it. Not really excited about that one. Original Samurai Showdown. That's $8. Again, I guess if you've been playing every Samurai Showdown and you still want more of them, I guess.
Here's another one.
Yeah. I don't know why they didn't lead with the first one and then bring out the later ones over time.
Maybe because the original one, the Samurai Showdown 2 was more popular, so they wanted to start with that one, and then if you want more, you can go back to the original, maybe?
I guess.
Okay.
It's just, yeah.
All right, so Rayman Legends, the Definitive Edition, is going to have its demo come out just now. The official release is the full release is coming out on September 12th, but the demo is available now, which you guys can check out. I gotta say, Rayman Legends is a great game, and the demos have always been really fully featured. So check that out. Yeah, it really brought me back to being a fan of Rayman, which is surprising.
Yeah, this was weird. It was a total, like, out of the blue kind of thing. Like, no one even expected this no one knew this was coming out for the Switch, let alone that the demo was just going to drop today out of nowhere. So it was just a really weird little surprise. They've been doing a lot of that kind of stuff with the Switch, like just this game, no one even knew. We're just going to drop it on you.
And honestly, it markets itself. Once it comes out, people get super excited, and the word of mouth marketing for that is strong.
Are you excited about this one?
So I'm actually a pretty big fan of the Fate franchise. So Fate Extella, the Umbral Star, just come out. It is a full-priced game, which it's not on the other consoles, so that's a little bit of a disappointing aspect of it. I might not pick it up, but, I might.
And that's the Warrior-style game with the Type Moon characters.
Right, it's a Warrior-style game in the Fate franchise, and we'll see.
Mm-hmm. We also got Namco Museum, just the collection of all the classic games there that we were talking about before.
Yes, this one was slated to include Pac-Man Versus, which is an awesome multiplayer experience that I would love to have on the Switch.
Ultra Hyper Ball, that was also just one we mentioned yesterday. Just looks like I have a hard time understanding how this game plays, but it is a weird sport of bouncing balls with up to 4 players and, I don't know, trying not to get exploded when it lands, and you'll have to see the trailer, honestly. Cubix Paint, that was the weird 3D kind of Mario Painty game where you create little sprites and just a free kind of art game. Infinite Mini Golf, a lot of people were talking about this actually being something. This is actually a pretty detailed looking game with customizable characters, and you play mini golf.
Cool, very cool.
Super Sidekicks, that's one I have no information on, I don't know anything about. And Phantom Trigger, which is something that's coming out in Europe. Hopefully it should be out on the US very soon. But that is the Hyper Light Drifter type game that from Tiny Build that I'm very itching to get my hands on.
Exactly.
All right, that's all the games. Let us talk about the Community Pulse and wrap this show up.
All right, let's go.
Let's dig in. Why don't you kick us off, JV?
All right, so starting with Aldrin Cornejo, with the big announced games now released, how much of a backlog do you have on your Switch since last March?
Good question, actually.
Huge. There are quite a number of games that we'd love to touch, but Splatoon is there taking up our time.
I mean, I think like the biggest thing for me is that I just haven't finished Zelda yet. I've beaten all the Divine Beasts, but I haven't gone to fight Ganon.
Yeah, and that's the linchpin of the game. So, yes, we do have a backlog, and each and every week we're going to have a growing backlog, but that's our problem, not yours.
But is there something in particular that you would you want to play that you just haven't had time to get into yet?
I always wanted to play more Puyo Puyo Tetris. More ARMS, there's a lot of games now out on the Switch that I would love to have more time with, but there's just so much coming out.
Yeah, ARMS I'm definitely willing to put on the back burner. That's one that I'm not gonna dive into too much or worry about. I want to finish, like I said, Zelda. What was the other one I did? I got to finish most of the games I wanted to finish at least. Oh yeah, and I wanted to spend more time relaxing with Voice, but every time I want to put that on, it's like, but I gotta play this, something, new for the show this week.
Right, exactly.
Peter J. Ortiz wrote, out of all the modes in Splatoon 2, which one is your favorite and which one is your least favorite? I guess we'll have to put that one off till next week when we actually play the other modes.
Right, exactly.
I am probably most interested in the co-op mode because I just like, that style of gameplay.
And I can assure you we're going to have our favorite modes and our least favorite modes.
Uh-huh.
So from Warren Fernandez, he says, Never played the first Splatoon, but Splatoon 2 has been nothing but pure fun. Even at level 1, I was able to take down a few Inklings that were several levels higher than me. Totally fine playing a supporter that just paints everywhere, while the more experienced players take on the opposing team. That's actually a really good point. Even at level 1, you can still help because you're, releasing ink. And that's the goal. You don't necessarily have to kill people, you just have to spread more ink. And
I remember any first-person shooter that I had ever played, or even like a third-person shooter, I felt like if I just walked around anywhere, I just died and I didn't know where I got killed from. I don't know who shot me. And I would just be like, okay, wait till I respawn. And then I have no idea what I was doing or why I was failing at it. And it just was frustrating. It was, such a boring learning curve.
Right. And in this one, you could be strategic by avoiding the conflict and sneaking around, grabbing more territory with your ink, without even needing to have those twitchy kill skills. So that's a very good point. Even at level 1, you can be helpful to a team, which I like.
And close us out.
And from Brent Middleton, he says, do you think there will eventually be enough SNES classics made to justify demand? Hopefully. There was a big round of Walmart pre-order cancellations, so it's not looking good, but it's something we'll have to see.
There's no way there's going to be enough of them to, fully satisfy demand, because the more people who get their hands, it's going to spread word, and people are going to get hyped about it, and they're probably not planning to make, 50 million of them. They're just going to make enough to kind of promote Nintendo, to get that hardcore, nostalgia fanatics in on it, and then they're just going to move on and spend the production on the next thing they want to make.
Yeah. It's this isn't really a priority for them manufacturing wise, so I don't expect demand to be met, because regardless, the demand is always going to be higher and higher and higher for this. So that's the end of our episode so far. If you guys haven't done so already, please check out our Patreon. That's patreon.com/theswitchcast. Any amount of donation you guys can provide us really helps. You can review us on the Apple Podcast app or wherever you listen. That's a really great non-monetary way to support us and help us grow our community. You can check out our Discord. The Discord link will be in our show notes. We have an amazing community there. You can email us via email at kc@theswitchcast.com for Casey and jv@theswitchcast.com for myself.
You can also find us on Twitter @theswitchcast. We have an Instagram with lots of pretty pictures, instagram.com/theswitchcast. And join our awesome Facebook group with 700 members and growing, all posting and talking about Switch stuff. Think of it like our forums. It's just a fun place to chill out. We also have a SwitchCast friends list. If you are already listening to this and you want to join up with either me, JV, or maybe Dr. Panda, or any of those other names that we like to keep dropping, that's the place to add them and make more friends so you can join them in games. Thank you to the HeatleyBros for the music and Essa for the closeout here. And until next time, everybody,
switch it up.